Next question is, Fritz, my client blocked every attempt to get to the root cause. What do I do? This is a great question. And some people are going to think that you're going to need more rapport, maybe a bigger pre-talk, give them a primer recording. But I say, do not waste your time doing any of that shit. And here's why. Conscious rapport, pre-talk, and all of these, and priming to get your clients more relaxed. All of these are only working on the conscious type resistance. But if your clients are resisting root cause investigation, they are having some something called unconscious resistance, which is something that's not really talked about and explained because it's not really taught in traditional trainings because, well, they just don't know about it. And we don't know what we don't know, but unconscious resistance is a real thing. And I'm going to give you an example of this. And this really has everything to do with the human body and the nervous system and how it works, and this concept of homeostasis, which is a particular set point that the client is in. So if a client comes to you and they are emotionally eating, right? They're emotionally eating, and their set point is that whenever something happens, maybe when they're really, really stressed out and they find themselves overeating and binge eating, then then the stimulus and their homeostasis is that something stressful happens equals I will binge eat on chocolate or cake or whatever, right? That is their homeostasis. That is unconscious, and that has become their learned habitual pattern. And so obviously they came to you to break that. No amount of rapport, no amount of pre-talk, no amount of conscious thinking or conscious words or suggestions, no amount of pre-priming is going to just automatically open up the unconscious mind's homeostatic set point, because the set point needs to be challenged. Somehow the unconscious mind thinks that this person really, really needs to stay in stress equals emotionally eating mode, even though logically they know that it's not good for them. And so unconscious resistance is going to be there, especially if there is a strong reason as to why the unconscious mind is keeping this client this way. That's why the pre-talks don't work. And when we go into our questioning with fix it type questions, questioning the root, saying things like, so how can you get out of this? How are you going to change this moving forward? Those are fix it type questions, right? Remember, your client's unconscious mind is completely smart. When you ask them that question, and when they're not ready to change, and this is an unconscious thing, if they've already paid you, there is a reason for them to change. Okay. There's a big cop out as well in hypnotherapists and trainers who say they're not really willing to change, and that can have a lot of proof in it. But if your clients are paying you a high ticket price, which is what we suggest inside the hypnotic questioning program, then there is skin in the game for them. There might just be a natural and normal resistance to change homeostasis unconsciously. This happens to everyone. And so your job is to help them get past that, right? And so when you're trying to fix, when we're using fix it type questions, this can be resisted and blocked because it's way too obvious for the unconscious. The unconscious mind will just say, fuck you. This coping mechanism is great for me. Thank you very much. That is how it works. That is how it is. It's very, very stubborn unless you give it another reason. And so, how you give it another reason is to, instead of drill it in with a fix it question and say, hey, unconscious mind, do this now, and it's just going to resist, and it's going to give you the law of reverse effect, try harder, you'll get more push. Instead of doing that, we ask curious questions instead inside the hypnotic questioning. program. And this is the first thing and the only principle that is from the beginning to end is needed in order to be successful and getting to the root faster. Curious question. I'm going to give you an example. A fix it question has something to do with, okay, so you're frustrated when you eat all the chocolate. What would make this frustration go away? That's a fix it question, right? We're asking for a solution, which is not the best if you truly want habitual change from the unconscious. So a curious question instead is like this. All right, so what made you frustrated when you ate all of those cookies or donuts? What made you frustrated? So by asking that question, you are just asking them about the experience. And bit by bit, the more curious questions you ask, the deeper you get into that root cause because you're just asking about the experience of the problem which the client will give you. And once the unconscious mind trusts you because you're just getting to know it, you're developing a relationship with it. That is how that root of the problem actually gets into the surface. And that is how you're going to help your clients change for good. Fix it questions are going to backfire. And especially if you're not trained how to ask curious questions, the most of the new hypnotic questioning practitioners are going to ask fix it questions because, you know, we do care about our clients, but it is the worst thing that we can ask them because we get that resistance. And so inside the trainings and inside the programs, there are hours and hours of content to help you ask curious investigatory type questions instead of the fix it questions. And so if you are someone who wants to go from good results into tremendous, excellent, extraordinary results, then learning how to ask curious questions without triggering your client's defense mechanisms is going to be very, very helpful for you. And this is what the hypnotic questioning trainings are all about. But other than that, if you do have those resistant clients, how can you be more curious instead? What questions can you ask that are more curious in nature, just like the questions that I just asked moving forward? What made you frustrated about eating all of those donuts? Do not copy that question though, because that is a very contextual question, and that is an example. You really want to pay attention to what your clients' issues are and listening to them and asking your client's question based on the information they gave you. This is how you open them up faster without triggering their defenses. And so the more fix it questions we ask, the more frustrated we are, the more frustrated they are. It gets us to doubt ourselves, doubt the paths that we've been in, which really isn't good and can be very much easily fixed by knowing what question to ask.